and you're getting a peek at something brand new, which is our staircase portrait gallery. They're photographs, or prints of photographs. On the one side, working up to here, we have founders, 4 founders. Many of you will recognize Julie Chase Fuller. She was the very first woman, I'm going to try to get the glare out of here. She was the first woman president of the Worcester County Mechanics Association. And then, because she rallied the troops and got the hall restored in 1977, she stepped off the board and became the first executive director of Mechanics Hall. Now you say, well, Mechanics Hall is 163 years old. Who ran it then? Well, the association did, and the trustees of the association, but what they had in those days was a superintendent who not only took care of maintaining the building, but also took care of booking events. There's Julie. Next to Julie, we have another 20th century founder, and that is Richard Steele, Dick Steele, as most people knew him by. He was the chairman of the Restoration Fund, and he worked hand in hand with Julie to raise the $5 million they needed to reopen the building safely and to refurbish and restore what we call the Great Hall, the performance space up on the 3rd floor. Richard Steele was the publisher of the Worcester Telegram and of the Evening Gazette in the 1970s. And so he and Julie were a force to be reckoned with when they knocked on your door to ask for funds to restore our beautiful hall. So those are our 2 20th century founders. The other 2 founders, I'm just trying to get the glare off. This is Elbridge Boyden, the architect of Mechanics Hall. Elbridge Boyden was self-taught, as were many of the Worcester industrialists of the time. He learned architecture from reading and studying great architecture from buildings around the world. He was responsible in New England for several of the town halls in our local areas. So they had performance spaces, gathering rooms, private rooms for getting work done. So a lot of the similar factors that came into the architecture of Mechanics Hall, he was a bit familiar with in advance. What there was not at the time was a science of acoustics, and yet Elbridge Boyden created a space in our great hall that is known around the world for its nearly perfect acoustics. So bravo, Elbridge Boyden. He also has buildings over at WPI and the College of the Holy Cross, but Mechanics Hall was his crowning glory. And then another familiar founder, 19th century founder, known, whoops, too much glare on this one. Here we go. You might recognize our friend Ichabod Washburn, quintessential mechanic, also self-taught, came through an apprenticeship with his uncle in a nearby town called Leicester and learned blacksmithing, and eventually invented a new way of drawing wire from raw stock, became very wealthy, but also he was able to feed his philanthropic desires. He gave very generously to many worthwhile causes here in Worcester, including the Memorial Hospital System, a home for indigent women, chapels for laborers who couldn't afford pews in traditional churches, a college out in Kansas, which is now named after him. He was one of the founding important folks over at WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute. An amazing individual, and we're so glad to be able to honor him in this on this founder's wall portrait gallery. Okay, so with the intention of keeping the theme of founders, this side of the staircase contains images of what I'm calling the founding performers, meaning the performers that came into the hall shortly after the restoration of 1977. So here we see Duke Ellington, an amazing musician who came to the hall in 1978, just a year after we opened again. Fabulous, iconic jazz performer. Next to him, Beverly Sills. Let's see if I can get the glare off of Beverly. A little bit. Beverly Sills, outstanding operatic soprano who came and performed in Mechanics Hall in 1979. Next, we have Yo-Yo Ma, everyone's contemporary favorite. Yo-Yo Ma loves the hall as much as the hall loves him, and he's performed here many times. In fact, let's take a look at when he first performed. 1982, 1983, 1985, 1991, 1997, and most recently, last April, just a year ago, in 2019. He's also told everyone, the world, that Mechanics Hall is his favorite place to record. And he's been here many times. He's done the Bach cello suites completely here twice. And we got a taste of that last April when he performed. And at the base of the stairs, the other founding performer we chose to display was Isaac Stern, who, after he came and performed in Mechanics Hall in 1983, vowed that if the hall was ever in trouble again of running into the disrepair which had been found in the 70s, that he would come to his rescue like a knight in shining armor. So it's a wonderful story from a wonderful performer. So now let's see if we can take a peek at the gallery's impact when you walk into the hall. I think it's a wonderful addition. It's a movable gallery, so that means every 12 months or so, 12 or 18 months or so, we can change out the images we've selected to other iconic individuals who have influenced our story. I think these were great choices for our original portrait gallery, staircase gallery, and it's going to be fun in the future to see who else we can memorialize in this way. Makes the entrance so much more interesting, and there we have it. So I hope you had some fun. We'll do some more tours of the hall as the weeks go by. In the meantime, stay safe, take care of your loved ones, and we'll see you in Mechanics Hall very soon.